What if I told you the dungeon isn't out there in society but buried deep within your consciousness? Not constructed of concrete but of anxiety, hesitation, and remorse. Every instance you retreated, every moment you silenced your truth, that's the authentic cage. And the most devastating revelation? You assembled it piece by piece with every justification, postponement, and deception you fed yourself just to endure another sunrise. But here's the revelation: if you constructed it, you possess the power to dismantle it. You require neither approval nor aspiration, you need combat. A battle against the iteration of yourself that continues to retreat when existence intensifies. You can elevate yourself not in some distant future when circumstances improve, but immediately, in this exact moment. You can incinerate the falsehoods, obliterate the restrictions, and transform into something immovable. You can become an entity so grounded that even turbulence yields when you approach. This isn't merely wishful thinking, it's a decision. But only if you possess the courage to make it. Only if you're prepared to extinguish the weaker being within and resurrect something formidable. This message isn't content, it's a sledgehammer. And you? You're about to swing it directly through the barriers of your own consciousness. So secure yourself, cleanse the residue from your essence, and don't you dare bypass a single moment. This is your awakening. Not the type that murmurs, it thunders. This is the inferno that consumes everything inauthentic. If you're prepared to commit entirely, if you're ready to bleed for your destiny, engage now. Share with me the specter that's been haunting you in the shadows. Let's confront it collectively, and this occasion, we don't retreat, we incinerate everything that's ever restrained us. Existence doesn't distribute compassion. It remains indifferent to your exhaustion, your brokenness, or how frequently you've screamed into emptiness hoping for transformation. Life delivers blows when you're already cornered. But the Stoics, individuals like Zeno, Cleanthes, and Musonius Rufus, they weren't merely serene amid chaos. They embodied the chaos. They bled, fractured, and suffered identical to you, yet they constructed something indestructible, a consciousness that refuses to yield to disorder. That's what this concerns, not theory, not academic philosophy. I'm presenting you with 5 Stoic armaments, authentic, merciless, tested through fire and sacrifice. Tools you can employ to sculpt a fresh existence from the devastation. By the conclusion of this message, you won't be tranquil, you'll be ignited. Prepared. Sharpened like a blade. Let's proceed. 1. Dominate what lies within your domain. Ever experience existence seizing you by the throat and dragging you through inferno without warning? One moment you're pursuing serenity, then suddenly employment vanishes, someone deceives you, strategies collapse, and abruptly the burden of reality presses against your chest. Most individuals surrender. They bellow at the heavens, attribute blame universally. But the Stoics? They didn't squander a moment on what remained beyond their influence. Epictetus, once enslaved then liberated, confronted rejection, poverty, and disability, yet remained steadfast. He comprehended one brutal verity that most still evade: you don't command the tempest, but you command the navigator. And that navigator is your consciousness. Direct it or submerge with the vessel. Stoicism isn't about coldness or detachment, it's about selecting where your vitality flows. It's an armament for those who've exhausted their tolerance for being at the mercy of circumstance. You cannot halt the downpour. You cannot alter congestion, gossip, or heartbreak. But you can determine how you conduct yourself amid the squall. That's where authentic influence resides, not in vociferous perspectives or emotional eruptions, but in silent discipline. Consider Nikolai, solitary parent of twin daughters. His universe collapsed overnight when his employment terminated. Bills accumulated, sustenance diminished, pressure intensified, his former spouse vanished, the weight was crushing. But he didn't curl inward awaiting salvation. He embraced Stoicism in its entirety. He questioned himself: what remains within my control? My time, my thoughts, my effort. Each evening while his daughters slumbered, he studied, acquired fresh abilities, reconstructed his professional summary, sought positions methodically. No theatrics. No justifications. Purely action. Seasons later, he secured superior employment, earned more substantially, and emerged from the wreckage more resilient. He didn't escape the tempest, he became the tempest. That exemplifies the determination Stoicism demands. Existence won't pause for your readiness. It won't cease delivering blows merely because you've endured enough. But Stoicism conditions you to stand regardless, to suffer with dignity, to act without requiring guaranteed outcomes. Cleanthes inscribed, "The obstruction to progress advances progress. What impedes the path becomes the path." Consider that repeatedly. The very element attempting to fracture you becomes the element that will fortify you, if you confront it appropriately. So when existence slams entryways in your visage, don't waste your essence attempting to breach them. Inquire, what can I regulate presently? Can I compose my consciousness? Can I undertake the subsequent minor step? Can I opt not to respond like everyone else? That's the recalibration. That's your influence. You're not here to rectify the cosmos, you're here to master yourself. And once accomplished, everything else follows. Not because the world simplifies, but because you become unshakable. That embodies Stoicism. That's Zeno. That's the variety of strength none can seize from you. And trust when I assert, when you learn to command your consciousness, no storm, no deprivation, no betrayal can submerge you. You'll ascend every damned instance. 2. Embrace discomfort to flourish. Nobody desires suffering. Nobody awakens craving adversity. But the truth? Comfort is the silent exterminator of magnificence. It lulls you into mediocrity, whispering, "Relax," while your potential withers behind your awareness. Every gentle selection you make, every instance you evade difficulty, you trade a fragment of your essence for additional minutes of illusory tranquility. And when you eventually sense the cost, it's already claimed years from you. The Stoics weren't masochists, they didn't pursue pain for drama. They pursued it recognizing the secret, discomfort hones you like a blade. Musonius didn't merely discourse about suffering, he stared it directly in the visage. He declared, "There exists no effortless route from terra firma to the celestial bodies." You aspire to elevate? To evolve? Then traverse barefoot through flame. Crawl through personal weakness. Bleed silently until the clamor in your consciousness shatters like crystal. Consider Victor, ordinary individual who abhorred public discourse with every fiber. Voice cracking, palms saturated, eyes darting for the nearest egress. But something within him fractured. He grew weary of concealment, weary of diminishing. So he cast himself into the tempest. Joined an oratory society. Failed spectacularly. Stammered. Forgot his narrative. People laughed, some pitied him. But week after week, he returned. Not because it simplified, but because he refused to be possessed by trepidation. 12 months later, he's addressing an amphitheater, not merely speaking but commanding the chamber like someone who battled internal conflicts and emerged ruthless. That's what discomfort accomplishes. It doesn't merely shape you, it reconstructs you. It dismantles the delicate components and resurrects someone who doesn't collapse under pressure. Icy immersions aren't hygiene, they're combat. Rising at dawn isn't about discipline, it's about demarcating boundaries and daring your weakness to transcend them. Each instance you resist the impulse to numb, scroll, consume, escape, you're not merely establishing patterns. You're demonstrating to yourself that you aren't enslaved. You think strength is some quotation on a barricade? No. Strength is earned in shadows when none observe, when your physique screams and your consciousness implores you to surrender. That's the gymnasium. That's where champions materialize. And if you're awaiting readiness, permit me to preserve some years, you'll never feel prepared to evolve. You must bleed into it. Step into the cold. Tremble before the multitude. Extract comfort from your spine and cast yourself into the flame. Because here's what most never comprehend, the more you suffer by selection, the less the world can harm you by surprise. You become tempest-proof, flame-proof, untouchable. You cease fearing existence because you've already survived the inferno you subjected yourself to. And suddenly everything quiets, not simplifies, but clarifies. Discomfort isn't the adversary, it's your forge. And if you persist in fleeing it, you'll never encounter the version of you constructed to conquer. So suffer deliberately. Fail deliberately. Go where it stings and remain there. Because that sting? That's the sound of your limitations fracturing. That's the agony of old skin sloughing off. And when it pains so severely you desire to retreat, smile. Because that's the moment you realize you're not perishing, you're transforming. 3. Reframe obstacles as openings. Ever been struck so violently by existence that you believed recovery impossible? That moment when everything you've poured your essence into crumbles before you, And you inquire, why me? That frigid, crushing sensation when the cosmos seems to betray you. But what if that collision, that agony, wasn't intended to fracture you? What if it was the moment you were destined to rise? To transform? The Stoics recognized this truth: existence will examine you. It will slam you against terra firma repeatedly. But they understood something crucial: it's not what befalls you but how you respond that defines your destiny. Musonius articulated clearly, it's not what occurs to you but how you react that matters. The agony you're experiencing presently, that's not your conclusion. It's your rebirth. Every obstacle constitutes a challenge inviting you to become more robust, sharper, unbreakable. Consider Sophia. She constructed her aspiration from nothing. Every ounce of her vitality poured into her pottery studio. Then economic collapse struck. No patrons. No commerce. No optimism. It felt like the termination of everything she'd labored for. But she didn't yield. Instead of crumbling, she shifted. She perceived opportunity amid chaos. People were isolated, yearning for beauty in confinement. So she delivered it. She pivoted to virtual workshops and transformed that setback into a flourishing enterprise. What should have been her failure became the foundation of her greatest triumph. This embodies Stoicism's teachings: every challenge, every rejection, every crushing blow isn't the conclusion but the commencement of your ascension. The obstacle is the route. It's not a barrier halting you, it's a ladder elevating you. The Stoics didn't merely endure hardship, they perceived it as the forge shaping them into warriors of the consciousness. So the next occasion existence knocks you down, when the cosmos attempts to break you, don't inquire, why me? Ask, what's the opportunity here? That failure isn't defeat, it's the flame forging your resilience. That agony? It's the raw material for your transformation. You're not destined to remain down. You're destined to rise, to become the warrior who converts storms into strength. Cleanthes didn't merely endure adversity, he mastered it. He demonstrated that authentic power doesn't emanate from avoiding existence's punches, it emanates from learning to utilize them. To make every setback your armament, every obstacle the fuel for your rise. Now it's your opportunity. Don't permit existence's punches to define you, employ them. Convert them into the fuel propelling you to heights you never imagined possible. You aren't destined to survive, you're destined to thrive. To rupture every chain. To take what was intended to destroy you and transform it into the force that will shape your destiny. 4. Practice gratitude to discover peace. In a cosmos designed to make you feel insatiable, like you're perpetually insufficient, it's unsurprising you're trapped in a storm of constant desire. Larger dwelling. Superior vehicle. The perfect existence. Familiar? You're imprisoned in a competition you never registered for, yet you're sprinting maniacally towards some non-existent conclusion. The authentic insanity? The Stoics perceived through this madness and denounced it. They weren't pursuing anything because they recognized something most never will: authentic peace arrives when you cease needing more. Zeno didn't mince words. He directly stated, it isn't the individual with too little but the individual who craves more that's impoverished. Let that strike you across the visage. You aren't impoverished because you lack, you're impoverished because you're continually famished for more, as if blind to the goldmine before you. That's the trap. We're dashing headlong into barriers, convinced the next significant acquisition will finally fill the void. But the truth? The void is the hunger for more, and that's where you're being drained. Consider Alexander. He possessed everything: the bureau, the designation, the prestige. He was an elevated executive strutting as if he owned the cosmos. But internally? Internally, he was hollow, perpetually pursuing the next advancement, the next bonus, as if his existence depended on it. He awakened mornings like an automaton, dragged himself through days, and retired evenings with hollowness in his core. No matter his possessions, it never sufficed. No matter his ascension, he felt as if drowning in the insatiable void of wanting more. Then he performed something preposterous: he began practicing Stoic gratitude. Not some superficial motivational nonsense but a hardcore transformative practice. Each evening, he documented 3 elements he was thankful for. Not grandiose things, not flashy superficial stuff, just fundamentals. A meal that tasted better than anticipated. A random conversation with his sibling that warmed his core. A moment of silence amid his day's chaos. Simple. Raw. Honest. But as he practiced this nightly, something extraordinary commenced. He ceased pursuing. He ceased scrambling to fill emptiness. He wasn't famished for more, he discovered peace in what already existed. He realized that contentment doesn't emanate from acquiring more, it emanates from recognizing you already possess everything essential. That exhilaration you seek? It's not in the next payment, the next vehicle, or the next perfect moment. It's in pausing sufficiently to perceive the beauty of current possessions. That's the truth the Stoics recognized. Peace isn't in what you lack, it's in what you already possess, if you'll merely awaken to it. I'm not suggesting Alexander transformed into some mystical sage overnight. He wasn't forcing false positivity. He wasn't oblivious to surrounding chaos. But he shifted his focus. He shifted his consciousness. He became famished for elements that matter, not elements that don't. And that's where his influence originated. So here's your awakening call. Tonight, before retiring, document 3 elements you're grateful for. Not grand gestures, the minute stuff. The sensation of your body contacting the settee after extended days. That breath of fresh atmosphere upon exiting. The smile from a stranger on the thoroughfare that restores faith in humanity. Simple. Real. Powerful. It's not some fluffy exercise, it's an armament. An armament to recapture control from a cosmos attempting to convince you of perpetual insufficiency. Practice it weekly, just 1 week, and I promise you'll feel as if you've shed immense weight from your essence. The hunger will commence fading. You won't feel like pursuing shadows. You'll traverse existence with strength emanating from appreciating what you've already achieved. After those 7 days, you won't merely feel lighter, you'll feel liberated. You won't be entrapped in the competition. You'll feel elevated, grounded, immovable, because you've ceased craving what isn't yours. You'll comprehend what the Stoics always knew: peace isn't in what you desire, it's in what you already possess, right now, in this moment. And that's the most powerful element you'll ever own. 5. Live with purpose daily. This right here, this is the game changer. The Stoics didn't merely exist, they charged through existence like warriors on missions. Every damn day presented an opportunity to demolish the ordinary and create something meaningful. You think they awakened and stumbled through motions? Hell no. They perceived each day as a battlefield, a chance to prove themselves, to leave legacies that couldn't be erased. Zeno didn't provide friendly advice, he commanded you to act. He said, first declare to yourself what you would be, then do what you must do. Cease there. Let that impact you. That's not some sweet nugget of wisdom you casually dismiss, it's a call to arms. A dare to cease surviving and commence thriving. To decide who you truly are, then support it with actions that make the cosmos feel your presence. Consider Tatiana, an architect. Not some superhero, just a woman trapped day after day. Same designs. Same tired routine. Same soul-draining monotony. She was perishing internally without realization. Then something fractured. She discovered the Stoic truth, living with purpose. And everything transformed. She asked herself the one question that liberated her: why do I do this? Not for compensation. Not for recognition. But to craft spaces that transform how people experience the world. To design structures that outlive her. To create environments that inspire future generations of architects. That's why she designed. It wasn't merely occupation, it was mission. She immersed herself in projects with passion in her visage, creating spaces that ignited occupants' imaginations, connecting with clients on levels that made them believe in themselves. She wasn't merely constructing buildings, she was shaping futures, one blueprint at a time. What's your purpose? Don't inform me you lack one. I'm indifferent if you think it's insignificant. Your purpose could be as straightforward as being the foundation your community requires, the one who stands firm when everything around them crumbles. It could be creating something that tears individuals from apathy and makes them feel: architecture, harmonies, words that move them, extract them from comfort zones, and ignite their cores. Or perhaps your purpose is spreading kindness like wildfire, being illumination in a dark cosmos. The one who makes every individual crossing your path feel seen, heard, valued. Find it. Whatever it is, find it. Your purpose is the element fueling every moment of your existence. It's the heartbeat powering every decision, every step, every breath. You don't merely awaken and permit the cosmos to drag you through motions. No. You awaken, seize existence by the throat, and make every moment count. You commence living with purpose, and the game transforms. You transform. You see, the Stoics weren't about surviving days. They weren't about dragging themselves across finish lines. They concerned themselves with burning through existence with everything they possessed, carving paths uniquely theirs. That's what it signifies to live with purpose. So cease playing small. Cease wasting days, weeks, months on autopilot. Cease permitting existence to happen to you. You control how this narrative unfolds. Decide what you stand for. What extracts you from bed mornings? What animates you? Then act. Because when you commence living with purpose, you don't merely exist in this cosmos, you make it impossible for anyone to ignore you. You become a force, an unstoppable wave none can push back. You create the existence you were born to live. You make your mark, and the cosmos will feel it. So here we are. You've been handed the keys, 5 brutal, raw Stoic lessons that will mold your consciousness into something unstoppable. Master what lies within your domain. Embrace the struggle. Reframe the chaos. Practice fierce gratitude. Live with purpose that burns. These aren't merely words, they're blueprints for an existence that doesn't merely exist, it roars with meaning. But here's the cold truth, none of this will advance unless you act immediately. I'm discussing today, the moment this message concludes. You must make the choice. Grasp one of these lessons. Apply it. Let that electrifying wave strike you when you realize you're far stronger than the version of you who didn't take action. If this message impacted your core, engage now like it's your final opportunity. Every action propels this message further. Don't merely observe, train your consciousness. Push beyond limitations. And never, ever, ever settle for less than magnificence. You were born to conquer. Let's proceed to tear this cosmos apart.